Hi guys, today is day 29 and we are looking at lesson 77. So percent of a number, part 2. So again, we've seen these before and it's part 2, and we've looked at it before and we've really a lot of different problems working with percents. The one thing we have to remember with percents is if we end up with a fraction or a decimal and we want it to be in a percent, we just have to remember how to convert a fraction or a decimal to a percent, which is not overly difficult because I've plenty of practice with that, but we'll obviously be going through it here today. So example 1, what percent of 40 is 25? What percent of 40 is 25? Again, of and is multiplication, is an equal sign. For your what number or what percent or whatever the problem you're doing is X or A or B, C, whatever you want to, just P, so I know percent. That'll just help me to remember to get a percent. So what percent times 40 equals 25? I'm going to divide both sides by 40 because I'm going to get this by itself. 25 divided by 40 gives me 0.625. So again, that's a decimal, but this reminds me I want a percent. So percent, when I have a decimal, I just move it 2 places to the right and multiply it by 100. 62.5%. So again, it's a word problem, just set it up in an equation. Don't just try and jump straight to the calculating. Take the time to set up your problem. That way you can make sure it's written correctly. You can remember you're looking for a percent. I think one of the number one mistakes that all of us make at one time or another is just trying to rush through it. I get wanting to get done, especially on tests and things. I see just simple mistakes where you end up with the wrong answer, and it's just because you didn't maybe read the entire question or understand what was being asked, and you just try to jump straight to the answer and not even show any work. That's not what we're going for. And then if we would have got the fraction, obviously we could have converted that to a percent as well. 5/8 times 100%. I think getting as a decimal, especially since we're able to use the calculators, makes it a lot easier. We just hit 25, divide by 40, hit enter, and what I did. 25 divided by 40. I've got 25 divided by 40 right there, and then we can just mentally move it over to, or we can multiply by 100 if we need to see it, 62.5%. So I think this way is easier to just do the division, get it as a decimal, because decimals to percents are a lot faster, at least for me, because I just remember move the decimal 2 to the right, and there you go. You can do it as 5/8 and convert it to a decimal that way. I think that way is easier by any means. All right, if we're looking at example 3, 75% of what number is 60? So sometimes we'll be given this number is this percent of what number. In this case, we're given the percent and the number we want to find out, or we're given the percent and a total number. We want to figure out what number 75% of 600 is. So 75% of 75% of what number equals is 600. So again, I got to move the decimal over. I can write this as 3/4 if I want, or I can do it as 0.75. Again, since we can use a calculator, and percents to decimals, decimal to percents, I think are pretty easy by now. I would just do it that way. We can do 3/4, then multiply by 4/3 to both sides. We're multiplying, I divide 600. I've got 0.75 is 800. So 600 is 75% of 800. I'm looking at that now. So if you ever get a number that seems way too big or way too small, just go back and look at the original problem and make sure that you're answering it correctly. number ever doesn't feel right or look right, probably a good indication that you need to go back and check it. Now 60 is 150% of what number? So 60 is 150%. I'm going to call it 1.5. You could call it 3 halves. 150% of what number? Remember, if our unknown, the number we're looking for is on the right or the left, same thing, 60 divided by 1.5 or 6, 3 halves times every 2/3 and 60, you get 40. So 60 is 150% of 40, and that makes sense because 150% means we're going up. 60 is more than 40, so checks out. All right, that practice set we'll go over together. We're getting near the end, you guys, so keep plugging along and finish the semester strong.